Let's talk about digital images on screens. There are two types, rasters and vectors. Rasters are made up of virtual pixel blocks. These aren't real pixels, as in physical pixels that make up screen hardware, which you can learn about in another video, Basic Display Technology. Despite not being real pixels, they're still called that as they're quite similar in nature, building up the final image. The word raster comes from the Latin word rastrum, meaning rake. When CRT televisions scan their electron beam across the screen, line by line, from top to bottom, the pattern of lines reminded engineers of parallel lines left behind by a rake dragging across soil. That scanning pattern became known as a raster. A vector is really only possible on a screen. Once it's translated to ink on paper, it becomes dots per inch, similar to the way a raster works. A vector has its own style due to the way it can handle shapes and curves, in a way that allows the computer to ignore building designs out of virtual pixel blocks, and instead, with infinitely scaling data assembled using the computer's mathematical operations. The word vector actually comes from mathematics, where it describes a quantity with both magnitude and direction, like a force or a velocity. When graphic designers adopted the term, it made perfect sense, because vector paths are defined exactly that way, a line from one point to another with a defined curve or angle. Image compression is really a raster problem, because a raster image is a grid of pixels, each with its own color value. Even a relatively small image can contain an enormous amount of data. Compression is the process of reducing and optimizing that data to a more manageable file size, and there are two ways to do it. Lossless compression reorganizes the data without throwing any of it away, so the image stays identical every time you open it. Lossy compression permanently discards some of that pixel data to make the file smaller, and every time the image is uploaded to a website like social media platforms, their servers automatically compress it to save on storage and bandwidth across their data centers, and a little more of it is lost. Vectors don't have this problem, because they're just mathematical instructions rather than a grid of pixel data. Their file sizes tend to be very small to begin with. Two common raster image types are JPEG and PNG, and a common vector file type is SVG. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please support the channel by reading the pocketbook it's based on, Color and Technology, the Beginner's Guide. Check out the description for more information.